It was clear to Ned Hardy, even from a distance, that something terrible had happened. Riding into town, he could barely bring himself to look at the buildings, now covered with the hideous marks and stripes. The sheriff got out of the saddle. The town looked deserted, but when he passed the hotel, someone called out, "Sheriff!" Ned Hardy helped the coach driver down and led him to the hotel. And we are going to make our third response now. So I picked out a sentence starter. It's okay if you want to use the same starter, but go ahead and write on your bookmark what your next response is. Oh, I'm so sorry. It is page number 15. I'm just I'll walk around with the pictures. Make your next response. I wonder, I think, I feel. This reminds me of, I predict, I like or I don't like, or it's just like. And once you're done with this response, just like always, go ahead and share it with your partner. Alright, here we go. We're going to move on. Next page. The townspeople and some cowboys were gathered inside. A few were covered with the greasy slime. They all told the same story. Without warning, the sky overhead had filled with a brilliant light, a light that froze everything it touched. Herds of cattle, even birds in the sky. And it was blinding. Like stepping out of a privy and looking straight into the sun at high noon, one of the cowboys said. Couldn't see a darn thing. When the light passed, they were covered with the greasy marks. "What are we going to do, Sheriff?" someone asked. "We can't spend our lives hiding in here." "No," Ned Hardy said. "No, we can't." He walked outside and stood in front of the hotel. His bravery inspired the others, and they joined him there. They looked at their poor town. Pretty little riverbed was now too ugly for words. "Look," someone shouted, pointing at the sky above the hills just out of town. The mysterious light had appeared. Some people ran back inside of the hotel, but Ned Hardy just stared at the strange light. Without blinking an eye, "Whatever evil thing has done this is out in those hills," he said, pointing in the direction of the light. "I aim to ride out there and put an end to it." The sheriff left town with a posse of well-armed men. They followed the trail of light. It wasn't hard to tell where it had been. The greasy streaks were everywhere. The men even saw them floating in the sky, but the light they sought always appeared just beyond the horizon. Then they saw the mysterious light shine brightly just over the next hill. The men crawled up the hill, but the light faded away as they peeked over the top. Looking down, the brave cowboys saw something that made them gasp. There was a man standing perfectly still at the bottom of the hill. He was as tall as a cottonwood tree and as skinny as a broomstick. And he looked like he was made entirely of the greasy stuff that now covered the countryside. This is where we're going to make our next response. This is on page number 19. Page 19. Go ahead and make your next response. I'll walk around so you can get a closer look at the picture. Like before, when you're done, go ahead and share with the person sitting next to you. Let's share some of our responses before we finish our story. Who would like to share their response? Do I have any volunteers? Anna, go ahead. You think this is the guy that's making all the greasy stuff? Okay. Gabriel?
I think that he is going to have a showdown.
He's going to what?
Have a showdown.
Have a showdown, yeah. They're going to fight it out. Okay, let's do two more. Tony. You wonder if this is the person who started it all? Nice response. All right, last one, Michael.
I think the sun's reflecting off of him to make the stuff.
The sun is reflecting off of him to make all that stuff?
Yeah.
All the greasy slime? All right. Let's read on. Ned Hardy was sure that this long-legged fellow was the cause of all their grief. They had only one chance. They'd have to get close enough to take a shot at this skinny devil before he used the light to freeze them. They crawled back to their horses. Ned Hardy gave a silent signal, and the posse charged forward. But just as they came over the hill, they were frozen in the bright light that suddenly filled the sky. And then the light went out. Now that we've finished our story, I want you to use the last box to respond to the whole story. Yep, you can write N for page number. E-N-D. So respond to the whole story. Remember to use your sentence starters. I wonder, I think, I feel. This reminds me of. I predict, I like, or I dislike, or it's just like. you're done, just like with all the other ones, I want you to talk to the people at your table. Share what your responses were, and then we'll talk about it as a class. I know. All right, let's raise our hands. Let's talk about it a little bit. What just happened? What just happened in that story? They were all ready to fight, and then what happened? Paige? I think you had it, but I can't hear the blowers on, buddy. Can you speak a little louder?
It turned out that a little boy was just drawing pictures of him.
It turned out that it was just a little boy drawing pictures in the end. Okay? Who's got a good response that they would like to share? Or just a response? They're all going to be good. Lorelai?
I really liked it.
Lorelai really likes the book. Okay, what else do we have? Anna? The what? The blue stuff? The grease stuff, you like that it was described as a greasy, slimy stuff? Okay. Jake? And you wondered if it was a coloring book? That's awesome. Mason? You think it's a coloring book? I think you're probably right. Any other volunteers to share their responses for the last one? Tony?
I think it was
I'm going to show you, and I know you guys saw this while I was reading it, but on the back of the book, this is the author, Chris Van Allsburg, and this is his daughter. And she colored all the pictures for this story. Okay? I love that story. It's one of my favorites.
She even draw the picture.
All right, my friends, make sure your name is on the back of your bookmarks or on the little tiny little space I gave you to put your name. I didn't give you much space. And then what I want you to do is I'm going to call your table and I'm going to have you put them in the top tray. Okay, so Prairie Hawks, why don't you go put them away first? Yep, you can put your response starters away. Thanksgiving leaves, go ahead and put yours, turn yours in. Very nice. Huh? No, thank you.
Is it still going?
Titanic Lions, go ahead and put yours away. And elves.
I'm the almighty virus. My vital. Come down.
All right.